So, you've been saving for a deposit to buy your first property, but it seems like your dream to own a property feels too far-fetched away from you. If this resonates with you, please do watch the video to the very end because I'm going to be sharing with you some specialized solutions that could help you. First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is David Adewale. I'm a property investor. I also source for property deals for investors like myself who are looking to generate long-term return on their investments. And sometimes I do have investors that are looking to just focus on short-term return on their investment. It depends on individual goal. I tend to work with my investors to understand what their goals are. And based on the goals that we agree and they share with me, I'm able to source for property deals that help them to achieve those goals. I focus mainly on UK market, and that's because I live in the UK and I understand the UK market much better. I'm also the co-director of Elsworth Properties. Elsworth Properties is a property company. We are registered in the UK and we focus more on rental management and also sales of properties as well. We also have clients that might actually be struggling, similar to what we have on this video, to get on the property ladder, and we actually tailor specialized solutions and strategies based on what their requirements are and what their needs are to help them get on the property ladder. And we do have some of our clients that are struggling to sell their properties. So we have some specialized strategies which we use to help them in getting to get their properties sold. So the first strategy I'm going to be sharing in this video is cash, no mortgage. What that means is you have cash, and then you want to buy the property, you have cash, and then you don't need to rely on getting a mortgage, which means that you are exempted from a mortgage application, ASO, and also having to go through all the credit checks. So if you've got some cash saved up, or probably not, it could be inheritance tax. You've got some cash rather from either a family that has actually given it to yourself or whoever it is. You've got cash, you want to buy property. It's possible to buy property that way without having to get mortgage, no credit checks, no ASO, and then you live happily ever after. That's the first way of getting property. The second one is what we call cash plus mortgage. So cash plus mortgage means that there's going to be a mortgage involved in this. So you've got some cash saved up, right? And you want to buy property, right? I'm going to use this example where you have a property of £200,000, for example, and you've managed to save up about 20,000 pounds, which when we do the math of it, that comes to 10% of the price of the property you're looking to buy. Okay, so you got 10% for that. I mean, there are other costs that will be involved as well. So we encourage people to save more than what the value of the property that they're trying to buy is. So I mean, in this current market right now, to go in at 10% is quite tricky. I mean, because of the present COVID-19 and all the likes as well. So we have lenders are quite reluctant to want to lend to buyers with either 10%. So if you can get 20%, then fine. You get more options, but the options are quite slim right now for anyone that's got 10% in getting a mortgage. So if you were to go for like 10% in this scenario, which means 180,000 pounds is what you need to get a mortgage on. So if it was 20%, that would be 160,000 pounds in this scenario. Now, the good news is that the government recently announced that stamp duty will be scrapped, was completely scrapped for anyone that is looking to buy property. As long as the property is between 0 and 500,000 pounds, then you don't need to pay stamp duty. So this is good news for first-time buyers that are looking to get on the property ladder and you are ready to go. You've already set up your deposit and you know your credit history is fine, and you're ready to go. Also, you need to think about legal fees. You need to think about valuation, like I mentioned earlier, moving and all the likes and other things that could be added to the purchase of property as well. With this, you need to have a credit check that will be done on yourself by the lender to ensure that you'll be able to pay or pay them on a monthly basis if you decide to go on an interest only on repayments. Now there's age restriction when it comes to mortgage lending, which means that you have to be minimum of 18 years old for you to be able to do that. All right. So with this as well, you can also buy other properties. Say if you bought your first property and then you have extra cash or whatever it is, you want to buy a second property, you are free to do that. There shouldn't be much of a restriction and the like. So the next one I'm going to go into is called shared ownership. Now, shared ownership is it's a scheme which the government introduced some years ago to help first-time buyers, people that are looking to buy property for the first time, or people that don't currently own their property to buy property, to get on the property ladder rather. And what happens with this is it's more of like more common with new builds, and we do get some occasional resales on properties as well. I mean, people that have already own property on shared ownership and they're looking to sell it back. So that's what mean by resale. Now with this, there's still going to be mortgage application, but what happens with this is you actually own a percentage of the property. So if the property 100% of the property, let's just assume you have 50%, so 50% will be owned by you, which means you only get mortgage on 50%, and the other 50% will be owned by the housing association, right? So with the 50% which you own, you get mortgage on it unless you can have cash, and then you get mortgage on it, you pay that mortgage on a monthly basis, and then you also be paying rent to the housing association. And that is how this works with shared ownership. Now, with shared ownership, there is you have there's something we call they call staircasing, which means that if you own 50% of the property, right, you can also keep buying the other by the other percentage of the property until you own it outright, until you get to 100%. So like, for example, you bought it in year one, in year two, for example, you've got some cash saved, you then decide to buy an additional 20%. So you have 70%, 30% is only, you still paying rent on that until you get to 100% of the property, where you don't need to pay rent anymore, and then all you focus on is paying your mortgage on property. Now with this, like I said, there is mortgage involved in it. The example here is that, so if you bought a property for £200,000, you found a property for £200,000, right? And you want to get a 50% share on that property. So now you own 50%, and then 50% by the association on this is in this instance. So you then need to find a deposit on the 50%. So in here we have £100,000. That's the for this example, right? So if you were to look for 10% of that £100,000, that would be £10,000. But they do have, it's possible to also get the 5% deposit raised for that, which means in this scenario will be £5,000. But there are specialized lenders that do share ownership, and they can give you 5% on that, which means £5,000. Now the good thing is, like I said earlier, there is no stamp duty to pay as long as the property is within 500,000 mark to buy properties. There are other things like legal fees and other costs as well. Now with this one, you're paying mortgage, like I said, you're also paying rent to the housing association. There will also be credit checks that will be done on yourself when you buy the property, which means that obviously because you're taking mortgage, so you have to be credible for you to be able to get the mortgage on the other half you're trying to buy. And also there's also a restriction in that you have to be at least 18 years and above for you to be able to get on shared ownership as well. Now, can you own property when you have a shared ownership? Absolutely no. And the reason why is because this scheme is actually set by the government to assist first-time buyers to get on property, not for you to start building a portfolio of property. Unless you've actually owned 100% of the property, i.e. you've actually staircased to the place where you get 100%, then you can go ahead and buy the next property and so on and so forth. Now, it's quite difficult to sell this property because it's targeted at first-time buyers or people that don't actually own any property at all. All right, so that is what this is targeted at. So it's quite difficult. You have to look for people that meet that requirement, that within that scope before you can get your property sold. Now, the next one is called Help to Buy, similar to shared ownership, but it's also a scheme which was introduced by the government. But with this one, what happens is it's only focused only on new builds. So it's only new build properties with this one. Now, with Help to Buy, it means that the government will loan you 20% of your deposit on the property, right? If you are in London, it will be up to 40%. Now, they expect you to find and to raise 5% of the actual value of the property. So, and then the rest of it you get mortgage. For example, in this scenario, you have a £320,000 house for a house in London, and you will be expected to raise a 5% deposit. Here is £16,000, and then 40% of it, the government will loan you that, which is on the equity loan, and the 55% will then be what you then get your mortgage on. Now, the good part of things is obviously because you're getting mortgage on a lesser value, lesser part of lesser value of the price of the property, your repayment might be low, and also your interest might also, you might also have a good deal with interest as well. And what happens with this is once you get this, you would be charged £1 per month fees for this for the first 5 years, for the on the equity loan. So you pay your mortgage, and on the equity loan side, you will be expected to pay £1 monthly over 5 years. So there is no interest on that loan that you have taken. However, though, when you actually step into the 6th year and you have not paid off the equity loan which you took from the government, what happens is you will be paying the £1 per month, which you have been paying. In addition to that, you also have to be paying a monthly interest fee of 1.75 on the first year. And it actually, it's what happens is when you get to the next year after that, which is this year 7, on the first of on April, because of the new financial year, the interest will increase. So it keeps increasing every April until you actually pay off the equity loan that you've taken on property. So which means you are paying on two sides, similar to what you have on shared ownership. But this is, you're not paying rent, but it's just you're going to be paying interest on the equity loan you've taken on the property. Now, with this, if you wanted to pay your equity loan before the 5 years, you could do that. Before the 5 years, actually, you could do that as well. There are a few ways you could do that. Is either you pay off your mortgage within that time, or you sell your home. Because when you sell the property, then obviously you have some cash, and then you can pay off the equity and settle all the other things, and you have your money back. And also, it could either be at the end of the equity loan term, which will be over the period of the time that you actually agreed, then you can pay off that as well. Okay, I've given an example here for out of £200,000, you get 5% deposit, that's what you have to raise, and then £40,000 on a 20% equity loan is what you get. So £150,000 will be the mortgage in this scenario. Now, with Help to Buy scheme, you can choose to be paying off the equity loan in different chunks, but you're only allowed 10% at a time in a year, really. So within this year, you're only allowed to pay 10% of it. If you're taking equity loan of £20,000, so you need to stagger it out that way, and then that's how it works, right? Now, if the value of the property do go up, right? If you increase in value, your equity loan goes up. If the value of the property, however, drops, your equity loan goes down. So if you're taking £20,000, the value goes up. It goes up at the percentage of the property that goes up. And if it falls as well, it actually reduces at that percentage. For the example right now is, if you were to buy a property, let's assume you took it for £200,000, and the equity loan is 20%. So this is outside London, okay? Within London, you could do up to 40%. And the deposit you put down is 5% on this in this scenario. In the price, the property, you decide to sell the property for £210,000, and that's what you eventually sell the property for, because it's actually increasing value. what happens is when you're going to pay your equity loan, because you have £210,000 for the sales, you're going to be paying £42,000, which is 20% of that sale price. So not the initial price you pay for the property. It is actually the price you sold the property for, right? That is what you are going to pay the equity on. So in this scenario, you pay £42,000 back to the government on that one, and then you pay off your loan. Let's assume your loan stays, your mortgage rather, that stays at 150. So you get, what you get back is £10,000 with £8,000 on top of that, which means you get some money back, but the £18,000 is actually not the right figure, because there will be other charges that will be inclusive in you need to also consider as well, like sales, agent, and the likes as well. So that's how it goes with this one. Now with Help to Buy, you're also going to have to do some credit checks, because you're going to be doing mortgage of 5% on the actual value of the property when you bought it. With this also, you have to be a minimum of 18 years old for you to be able to get the property as well. Now, with Help to Buy, the question is, can you own other properties with Help to Buy? With this as well, no. Until you actually own the property, you've paid off 100% of the equity loan. So if you've paid 100% of the equity loan, so for £200,000 house, you have an equity loan of £40,000 on it. If you pay that £40,000 back, then you can go ahead and buy that property. Now, also with this as well, you can't rent it out. You're only allowed to live in that property. You can't rent it out and all that. So that's a restriction to it. Now, with the ease of sale, or this is quite easier to sell than shared ownership, because there isn't any much restriction as to the sales on it, and it's not jointly owned. You just have a loan on this, so you can sell this easily, right? Now, these are the options out there, but I'm going to be sharing you in this video some options, which means you don't have to pay mortgage. So no mortgage, no credit checks, no deposit. So that's no mortgage, no credit checks, and low deposit. So there are different strategies that can be implemented for this to be possible. But I'm going to be sharing and talking more and give an example on two of them in this video. One of which is rent to buy, and the next one is seller finance. There are other ones, like I said earlier, but I'm going to concentrate focusing more on these two in this video. Now, we rent to buy. Rent to buy is when you rent the property now, today, right? But you buy the property later in the future. So you'd have actually agreed the price of the property, the purchase price today, right? And you move into it, and you're renting up, or you're paying the rent on a monthly basis, but there's been an agreement on how much you're going to pay in whatever time you want to buy it. In this example right here, so this is a property for £200,000. That's what you agreed that you're going to pay. The term of it is 5 years. So in 5 years' time, when it comes to buy this property, you buy it for £200,000. But meanwhile, while you're actually waiting for 5 years, you're going to be living in the property, and you're going to be paying rent to the owner of the property. All right, so rent to buy. Now, with this, as a commitment to the owner of the property to show that you're actually going to buy the property in the next 5 years or whatever it is, you'll be expected to do an exchange, like a mini exchange, the option fee. So you put like £5,000. It could be less than this. So for these examples, I'm just using for the purpose of this example, I'm using £5,000. Now that £5,000 which you have put down is going to be deducted from the agreed price. So in this scenario here, it's not going to be £200,000 you pay in 5 years. It's going to be £195,000. Okay, so there's other things that's involved in this. There is solicitor's fee that will be inclusive of this. You need to do that. There's going to be finder's fee as well. The finder fee will also, I mean, for the agent that helps you to find this kind of deal, because it's not something that you actually go on Rightmove or any of the property search engine and you find them there. So it's more of like a specialized one. So you pay a fee for that. So for example, I'll say £2,000 for this, for argument's sake. Let's just put it for this example, right? Now with this, what happens is no mortgage, no credit checks, and low deposit, and you've secured that price for of £200,000 in the next 5 years. So that gives you plenty of time for you to be able to save up, so that when you get to 5 years time, you can buy the property, you can do your mortgage, and also for within that 5 years helps you to be able to build your credits as well, right? It helps to build your credit, so to prepare you, especially if you're, let's assume that you have someone that is I don't know, age 17 or thereabout. This can work for them as well. So you prepare them until when they get in the 5 years time, they'll buy the property. Now with this property, it's not like a landlord relationship. It's more of like you'll be prepared to buy the property, and then you'll be responsible for the maintenance of the property, not the structural part of things, but things like menial work, like you have the doors broken, light bulbs needs changing, and the lights and all of that. So, I mean, that will be drafted in the agreement as well. The second one is seller option. Now, I'm sorry, seller finance rather. Now with seller finance is the next one. Is quite interesting. This is a very good strategy. Now, no mortgage required, like I said, no credit checks, also low deposit with this one as well. Now, the good part of this is the owner of the property who is looking to sell the property is hosting the mortgage on your behalf. And what that means is you agree on a price. Let's assume right here also you have £200,000, right, for example. Now, what happens with this one is you also have a term that you've actually agreed on. So, for example, I say 10 years in this scenario, 10 years. Within that 10 years, you would have actually agreed with the owner on the amount you're going to be paying on a monthly basis. Now, with this one, it's not that you're actually paying rent. You are actually paying towards the price of the property. You're paying towards owning the property completely. So which means that there will be an agreed price, less in this scenario, £1,583 on this scenario, right? Over the next 10 years, so that by the end of 10 years, you would have completed on the payment of this property. This is an amazing one, right? So the way it works is you get the option, right? You exchange as a commitment to the seller. You give, in this scenario, £10,000. It could be less, but this is just an example, £10,000. There will be solicitor's fee, there will be finder's fee as well. Like I said, it's not really something that you can go right move and you find it like that. So you have specialized people that work, that agent like us, to help you find these kind of deals and negotiate it as well. So let's assume that this final fee is £2,000 and total cost is £12,900. Now, you don't need to worry about mortgage, no credit checks, and the deposit is low. And the good thing about this is at the end of 10 years, you own the property outright without owing anybody. You know you own it. I mean, usually in UK, you have mortgage 25 years or 30 years, 20 years if it's low. Sometimes if you have more, if you have put more deposit into it, you have 10, 15 years as well. But this guarantees that at the end of 10 years, you've paid off your mortgage, you own the property 100%. This is an amazing one as well. If you don't want to get to get a mortgage, or also to do credit checks on yourself, and also with low deposit on this one. So I mean, there are other ones as well. We have lease options, which I'm not going to be talking in detail in this video. I'm not going to. Also, we have invest to buy. So there are other options that are out there and strategies that you could use to get on the property ladder without mortgage, no credit checks, and also low deposit. Now, so if you really, if you're interested in this, if it's something that you feel that's going to be something that you want to get into property ladder and you've been struggling, you can reach out to us, elsworthproperties.co.uk. If you visit our website, elsworthproperties.co.uk, you can contact us there. Or we're also on Facebook, so you can just chat with us on Facebook. We're there as well, 24 hours, 7 days a week. I mean, we're there on Facebook. Just put your message. If there's someone known to respond to you there, and we'll always get the message and get back to you. Also on LinkedIn, you can connect with us on LinkedIn as well. So if you really you're a LinkedIn person as well, you want to connect with us, read about us on LinkedIn, connect with us as well. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. Like I said, connect with us if you need any help. If you know someone that is struggling to get property, let us know. We'll be so happy to help and to help them with this. Thank you very much for the video, for watching the video, and we'll meet until we meet again. God bless.